Welcome back to Sailing the Storm Manufacturers, here on ENF Trade TV. I'm your host, Eva. Andrew, welcome. Please introduce yourself and provide a quick overview of your company's background and manufacturing scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me today, Eva. So I am Andrew Prybylowski. I'm the business director for H.B. Fuller's global solar business. H.B. Fuller is a global adhesives manufacturer. We have a manufacturing presence in many countries around the world, and we produce about 20,000 different adhesive products, and we're the largest pure play adhesive company. And then our engineering adhesives group, where our clean energy business falls. For clean energy, we produce a variety of silicone sealants, potting compounds, butyl edge sealants, and encapsulants for solar manufacturers. And then we also produce a variety of installation products for installing PV panels, and we have some exciting, innovating solutions for the wind market. Our manufacturing facility is based in Bellevue, Ohio. We currently produce a variety of single-layer films, primarily for the U.S. market. Our capacity is about 2.5 gigawatts, but recently we started a project to expand the facility, adding a line that is capable of tri-layer films, such as EPE. And this will add about 1 gigawatt of production capacity for us, and we're slated to go into mass production on that line in Q1 2026.
Andrew, we want to hear your unique story here in H.B. Fuller. What have been the biggest manufacturing challenges you guys faced so far?
If I look at that from a high level, one of the things that's really unique with this manufacturing facility that we established in the US is that we're scaling new assets. Anytime a company is doing that, there's certain challenges that you can run into. But we also have this interesting addition where the PV industry is very young and growing very quickly in the United States. And so not only are we ramping our capacity, our customers are ramping theirs. And this creates an interesting puzzle when we look to align ramp-up schedules. The other thing that's very interesting in this market is that we are one of the first encapsulant manufacturers to return to the United States. And this is a region where this industry has been dormant for many years. And certain things that may be taken for granted in a more mature market, such as raw material supply chains, labor pools, or just general core technology, can be more challenging to navigate in a fast-growing region like the United States.
Makes total sense. Now, can you tell us the story behind your most important recent innovation? What started the idea and what shaped it most along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think probably our most exciting recent innovation is our thermoplastic encapsulant that we developed for the US market. And we actually won the Adhesives and Sealants Council Innovation Award in 2024 for this development. And what was really unique is that with this project, we wanted to develop a differentiated material with a unique and differentiated supply stream that could serve the US market. And like I had mentioned, the US market is still developing. And so some of the raw material base may not be as developed as it is in other regions.
Andrew, what's your core philosophy or technology that guides your R&D allocation? And how do you decide which project to pause or prioritize when shifting resources?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Within H.B. Fuller, we have a vast variety of different technologies that we have at our fingertips. And this opens the door to many different formulation possibilities throughout the solar value chain. And the challenge this presents is balancing these projects with resource constraints. And when we look at R&D prioritization from a high level, it really depends on ROI and risk. And what we try to do at H.B. Fuller is use a framework to ensure that we have a healthy pipeline in our R&D projects. And so what we look for is a balance of visionary long-term projects, your high risk, high reward, reliable short-term projects, and then a mix of defense projects. And anytime we create a new project, we bring together a cross-functional team that analyzes the data relevant to the project. We put together a scorecard, and then that puts the project into one of those categories within our pipeline. And then we schedule regular reviews to look at our overall pipeline to see, are we heavily weighted in one area? Or if we have resource constraints, we look at that distribution and we decide which areas we can cut back and which areas we need to drive more focus in. And so shifting priorities and moving R&D projects around is never easy, but having this type of framework really helps us make decisions quickly.
That's insightful. Now I want to know, Andrew, how does your customer data feed into your R&D? And what's one insight from it that helped you improve your formula or spec?
I think this is a very important aspect because H.B. Fuller, we have a really strong breadth of chemical engineering experience. And when we look across all of our markets, we actually often are working with customers that may have really strong mechanical engineering, electrical engineering experience, but can really benefit from the expertise that we bring to the table. And so this idea of data swapping is very important and very beneficial because it allows us to really leverage this expertise to bring unique insights to our customers. And so in the PV space, I wouldn't say there's really one piece of data that is the most impactful. It's really having that open collaboration that can be really beneficial. Even things like actually having our team on site when our products are going to run on pilot lines for initial testing are incredibly impactful, because what this allows is our team to get the firsthand knowledge, firsthand data, and potentially leverage our backgrounds to provide insights to our customers that they may not have thought of on their own.
Andrew, solar manufacturing crosses over with semiconductors, windows, and roofing. So how has H.B. Fuller's work in those areas influenced the solar market?
I think this is an area that H.B. Fuller really excels. So like I had touched on when I was giving a little bit of background about H.B. Fuller, we play in a variety of different markets. So we're segmented into 3 different business units: our engineering adhesives, our hygiene, health, and consumables, and our building adhesive solutions. And because of that breadth of knowledge, we often find that we develop a solution in one segment that then can be applied to other segments. And a really good example of this in PV is a few years ago, we had developed a product called 4SG for the insulating glass market. And this is a butyl spacer for insulated glass units. It has an amazing benefit for increasing the speed of manufacturing in insulating glass. But we saw for the PV market that this material had an incredible moisture barrier. And we took this technology and adapted it slightly into our PVS 101 edge sealant, which is a material that is now enabling the next generation of cell technologies where there are maybe higher requirements for moisture resistance because of that excellent moisture barrier. So having that crossover between business units is incredibly valuable when we're thinking about innovation between different markets.
When you were ramping up a team in a region with little manufacturing talent, which role ended up being the hardest one to fill?
Thankfully, our talent acquisition team does a really good job determining how to bring on the right talent in challenging areas. And specific for our encapsulant build out in the United States, I think some of the technical roles, engineers, operators, were challenging to hire because this was a region that was dormant. when you look at that at face value, it can seem like there's a talent gap. But if you take a different approach, you can see that there's actually a lot of really strong talent in adjacent industries. And so the opportunity is really in identifying the core skills that you need to bring in externally, and then identifying those that your organization does very well and can train within that team. And so with that framework, our talent acquisition team was able to identify a few areas that we could pull these experts and then really put together strong development plans to get everyone up to speed very quickly. And I think this allowed us to scale our encapsulant facility in a really fast way.
That's helpful. As you scaled, what did you keep in-house versus outsource? And how did that affect speed, quality, and cost?
I think in general, we look to insource as many roles as possible at H.B. Fuller, but we do look for external opportunities when it allows us to bring better solutions to our customers more quickly. And in the case of our encapsulant business, we identified that there was an opportunity to accelerate our developments and our know-how by establishing a partnership with a top 3 global encapsulant manufacturer, Hy-UV. And really the beauty of this partnership was that it would accelerate our know-how, our technical competency, but at the same time, H.B. Fuller would bring a lot of know-how in navigating the U.S. market because we have an established manufacturing facility, a long history of manufacturing in region. And so by combining both of our competencies, we were able to bring high quality solutions to customers in the United States market.
When you start with a new PV module customer, how do you agree on timing and volumes? And what's the path from samples to the first real order?
Yeah, so this is another interesting and somewhat complex challenge to work through. I think that the most important thing when aligning these schedules is having really strong communication. And it starts very early. If you establish that foundation well, then the rest of the project is set up for success. And so what we look to do very early in our customer relationships is have a very strong opening dialogue. And we ask a lot of questions to make sure that we truly understand the customer's timelines, their specifications and requirements, and any unique items that they may need from H.B. Fuller. And then we also make sure to be very transparent about our capabilities, our timelines, so that there's a really good understanding of what is needed and what is possible. And that really starts any new project off on a strong foot.
As we reach the final part of our program, let's talk about leadership and impact. Andrew, if a manufacturer said, we're starting up in a brand new region, what are 3 lessons you'd share so they don't have to learn the hard way?
The 3 things I would say is, first, make sure that you're the first one to the region. That gives you a really strong advantage to develop the base, but make sure that you have a strong knowledge transfer plan between internal and external experts. The second I would say is be very aggressive with your internal schedules and prepared to push your team to drive the projects forward, but be very measured in your external communications to customers and any sort of external bodies. And then third, I would say learn very quickly from your mistakes. Ramping a business in a new region is very challenging, and so mistakes will happen, but they're really learning opportunities, and forgive yourself when they happen. Don't dwell on the past. Be prepared to react and adapt very quickly.
A great advice for everyone. How have challenges in H.B. Fuller influenced your approach to future manufacturing expansions and technology upgrades?
We view any sort of challenge that we've encountered as a learning opportunity. And so all of these learning opportunities allow us to be stronger, faster, and better partners for our customers. And I think this positions us really effectively in the markets that we serve. And so as we look to any sort of future expansions, future developments, we always make sure that we leverage these learning opportunities, and oftentimes we have postmortems so that we can look back and make sure that everything that we overcame can be a strength as we look to continue our growth.
How has this experience shaped your global to local manufacturing playbook for serving customers?
Yeah, I think that this is a good example of H.B. Fuller thinking globally and executing locally. So within our organization, we can look at global markets for many different business segments and then deploy the right manufacturing capacity locally so that we can effectively serve our customers. And I think this is something we'll continue to do in the growth of our organization.
Love the framing, thinking globally, executing locally. So Andrew, when you look back at your company's journey, what makes you the proudest and what might still keep you up at night in a good way?
I'm very proud of what our team and organization has learned through this journey. We're better and faster because of all of the learning opportunities we've had. If I think about what keeps me up at night, it's knowing that there's more learning opportunities ahead that we haven't encountered yet, but I know that we have the right team and the right plans in place to tackle all of those head on.
And that's all for our episode today, Andrew. Thank you so much to you and your team at H.B. Fuller for spending time with us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And that's a wrap for our Sailing the Storm manufacturers. See you next time, only here on ENF Trade TV.